Hi, third grade. Today we are going to finish up week 17 in your green grammar book by completing the Thursday section together. Let's look at number 1. It says, use the subordinating conjunction to combine the two sentences. Then label the independent and dependent clauses of your sentence. So right now our two sentences say, Sean followed the recipe carefully. The pie would be perfect. They want us to use the subordinating conjunction so that in order to combine these two sentences. Now, when we've done this one in the past, we could either put so that at the beginning of the sentence or in between the two. Let's see how it sounds in between the two. Sean followed the recipe carefully so that the pie would be perfect. Doesn't that make sense? So when you go to write it, that's how it should look. Sean followed the recipe carefully so that the pie would be perfect. And now we have two clauses that we need to identify and label. Our first clause is Sean followed the recipe carefully. Does that sound like it could be a complete sentence and stand alone by itself? Sean followed the recipe carefully. Yes, it does. It has our subject and it has our predicate, what he did. So that, boys and girls, is a complete sentence and could be a complete sentence, and therefore it's an independent clause because it can stand by itself. Our other clause is so that the pie would be perfect. That is not a complete sentence. So therefore that one should be labeled dependent. Let's look at number 2. We have a sentence and they want us to tell if the sentence is simple, compound, or complex. Here it is. Amber hates being cold, yet she dreams of living in Alaska. So our first clause is Amber hates being cold. That is an independent clause because that could be a complete sentence. Our second clause is she dreams of living in Alaska. That also is an independent clause because that part of the sentence could be a complete sentence by itself. So when you have two independent clauses joined together, what do we have? Simple, compound, or complex. Just like a compound word, when you have two independent words joined together, when you have two independent clauses joined together, it's a compound sentence. Number 3, use descriptive language to rewrite the sentence. A girl sang a song. Pretty boring here, so let's see if we could add some adjectives or adverbs to make this a little bit better. I decided to write a confident girl proudly sang her favorite song in front of the entire school. So I added some more specific details to make that sentence more interesting. Number 4, find a word with a prefix or a suffix that matches the definition in parentheses. Agnes tripped because the sidewalk was blank. We need a word with a prefix that means not even. If something's not even on the ground, you can describe that ground as being, we talked about this prefix that means not uneven, right? Okay, and last but not least for number 5, they want us to identify which underlined phrase is literal and which one is non-literal. And by looking at the sentences, you can see that the phrase this week is take steps. So let's look at the top sentence together. We watched the baby take steps across the floor for the first time. Okay, in that instance, is the baby actually taking steps across the floor? Yes. So if it's actually happening, that's a literal meaning. In the bottom sentence, though, it says, you must take steps to keep yourself healthy during the flu season. So are you actually taking steps during the flu season? I think they mean here you have to take the proper precautions like washing your hands and coughing in your elbow and eating healthy. So that's not actually taking steps. This one just means it's a phrase that is a non literal phrase that means you need to do the right things to keep yourself healthy. All right, boys and girls, thanks so much for joining me this week. I will see you again next week.